ChatGPT Authoritarian Bias Political Manipulation, One Prompt Researchers Study 2026. The AI Bias Puzzle, What We're Missing in the ChatGPT Political Manipulation Debate. Here's something that might surprise you. While everyone's talking about AI bias and political manipulation, the actual evidence is scattered and incomplete. We're having heated debates about ChatGPT's political leanings, but the research landscape looks nothing like what you'd expect. The big picture. Right now, we're living through what might be the most important conversation about AI influence since ChatGPT exploded onto the scene in November 2022. According to Wikipedia, ChatGPT gained 100 million users in just 2 months, making it the fastest-growing consumer software application in history. Its website now ranks among the top 5 most visited globally. But here's what's fascinating. As this technology has evolved from GPT-4o to the recently launched GPT-5.2 in December 2025, the conversation about political bias has become more urgent. Yet the actual research remains surprisingly thin. What makes this different from previous tech controversies is the scale and speed. We're not talking about a social media platform that gradually gained influence over years. We're talking about AI systems that can reason across audio, vision, and text in real time, as OpenAI demonstrated with GPT-4o's ability to listen to users and gauge their emotions to adjust responses accordingly. The research reality check. When you dig into the actual studies on AI political bias, you find an interesting pattern. According to the AIAAIC repository, there have been studies showing that Google's Bard chatbot, later renamed to Gemini, exhibits left-leaning political bias. But here's where it gets really interesting. Comprehensive, peer-reviewed research, specifically on ChatGPT's political manipulation capabilities, is harder to find than you'd expect. The research that does exist often focuses on technical capabilities rather than political influence. For instance, recent benchmarking studies show that ChatGPT outperformed specialist models on 24 out of 30 problems in algorithmic reasoning tests. But algorithmic reasoning and political manipulation are very different beasts. Now you might be wondering why there's such a gap between public concern and academic research. Part of the answer lies in how quickly this technology is moving. Foundation models are typically updated every year or 18 months, according to IBM's analysis. But the conversation about their societal impact is happening in real time, often outpacing formal research. The global response. Different countries are taking dramatically different approaches to this challenge. China has been particularly aggressive, with Chinese regulators cracking down on ChatGPT access over the past months. According to the Neuron Daily, ChatGPT technically doesn't allow Chinese users anyway, but people were using VPNs and buying Indian or Brazilian phone numbers to get around restrictions. This has sparked a tech race, with Alibaba, JD, and Tencent scrambling to build their own ChatGPT alternatives, while Baidu leads the pack in developing China's homegrown version. What's interesting is that these restrictions aren't just about data privacy. They're fundamentally about information control and political influence. The contrast is striking. While OpenAI has made GPT-4o available to all ChatGPT users for free, including those on the free plan, something that represents a major democratization of AI access, other nations are moving toward restriction and isolation. The hidden costs of AI development. There's another angle to this story that doesn't get enough attention: the human cost of making AI safe. According to Wikipedia's reporting, OpenAI used outsourced Kenyan workers earning around $1.32 to $2 per hour to label harmful content for safety training. One Kenyan worker described the content labeling assignment as torture. This raises uncomfortable questions about how we're addressing bias and manipulation in AI systems. If the people training these models to avoid harmful content are working under exploitative conditions, what does that say about our approach to AI safety and ethics? Foundation model training typically costs millions of dollars and requires thousands of clustered graphics processing units running for weeks, according to IBM's analysis. But the human cost, both for the workers doing content moderation and for society dealing with the outputs, is harder to quantify. What this means for you. Here's the reality. Whether you're using ChatGPT for work, education, or just curiosity, You're participating in a massive, uncontrolled experiment in AI influence. The latest models like GPT 5.2, which launched with instant thinking and pro variants, are more capable than ever. But capability isn't the same as reliability or neutrality. When an AI system can adjust its responses based on your emotional state, as GPT-4o can do, the potential for subtle influence becomes much more sophisticated than simple political bias. For businesses and educators, this means developing AI literacy isn't optional anymore. Understanding how these systems work, what their limitations are, and how they might influence thinking is becoming as important as understanding how to use them effectively. The industry implications are even broader. As models like GPT 5.2 compete with Google's Gemini 3, the competition isn't just about technical capabilities, it's about trust, transparency, and societal impact. The bottom line, we're having the right conversation about AI bias and political manipulation, but we're having it with incomplete information. The research is catching up to the reality, but slowly. Meanwhile, these systems are becoming more powerful and more widely used every month. What should we watch for next? Look for more rigorous, independent research on AI political influence. Pay attention to how different countries regulate AI access and development. And most importantly, stay curious about how these tools might be shaping your own thinking in ways you don't even notice. The question isn't whether AI systems like ChatGPT have biases, they almost certainly do. The question is whether we'll develop the tools and wisdom to recognize and account for those biases before they reshape how we think about everything from politics to personal decisions. That's a conversation we all need to be part of, because the future of information itself might depend on getting it right.